Anti-ICE protesters storm a Twin Cities church with a celebrity guest. HHS digs into the health effects of cell phone radiation. And Dolly Parton turns 80. I'm Georgia Howe with Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley. It's Monday, January 19th. Happy MLK Day. And this is Evening Wire.
Anti-ICE protesters stormed a Minnesota church on Sunday, including a surprising celebrity guest, Don Lemon. Here's Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce with the details.
Dozens of activists, including the former CNN host, disrupted a church service yesterday morning in St. Paul, Minnesota. Activist leader Nakima Levy-Armstrong told Lemon the goal was to, quote, disrupt business as usual. The protest lasted roughly 30 minutes, during which Lemon occasionally argued with church members to defend the, quote, free speech of the agitators. Lemon spoke to lead pastor Jonathan Parnell, who was preaching when the protesters barged in, on his live stream.
This is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
The DOJ is investigating the incident as a violation of the FACE Act, which protects places of worship from threats of violence. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon appeared on the Benny Johnson Show to explain how the Ku Klux Klan Act also applies.
The Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. The FACE Act is just the start. Like I said, you have material support for disruptive activities. You have conspiracy to violate civil rights. Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism, as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy. It isn't.
The Kremlin said on Monday that Russian President Vladimir Putin has received an invitation to serve on President Trump's Board of Peace for Gaza. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Putin received through diplomatic channels an invitation to join the Board of Peace, and that Moscow is hoping to get more details from the U.S. side. Created by an agreement between the U.S., Israel, and Hamas last year, the Board of Peace is to oversee a technocratic government which will run the Gaza Strip.
The state of Florida is rejecting affirmative action programs in hiring and contracting. The Daily Wire can first report that the state attorney general will no longer recognize or defend the dozens of affirmative action programs enshrined in state law. In a legal opinion, Attorney General James Uthmeier wrote that the programs violate both the Florida and United States constitutions by setting aside opportunities for non-white people. Uthmeier pointed to the recent Supreme Court decision in Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard that struck down the ability of colleges to admit students based on race. That ruling has proved monumental for challenges nationwide to racial preferences embedded in law.
A new study from HHS is underway targeting the health effects of cell phone radiation. Daily Wire reporter Amanda Prestigiacomo has the story.
According to HHS, the study will examine electromagnetic radiation and human health to identify gaps in current scientific knowledge, including risks associated with newer technologies. Following the announcement, eagle-eyed critics have noticed that federal web pages asserting that, quote, cell phones are not dangerous, that's been removed. HHS spokesman Andrew Nixon described the web pages as, quote, outdated. Other federal agencies, however, they have not changed their positions. The CDC, the National Cancer Institute, and the FCC continue to say that existing evidence does not demonstrate a causal link between cell phone use and cancer, though some note that further research is warranted. Experts say that cell phones emit non-ionizing radiation, which does not damage DNA in the same way that cancer-causing radiation does. The World Health Organization similarly says that there is no conclusive evidence of harm, though it does encourage continued long-term research.
The death toll in Iran continues to climb as the regime cracks down on public displays and blocks internet access. Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell reports.
According to the U.S.-based human rights activist news agency, by Sunday, nearly 4,000 people have been confirmed killed, with 9,000 more deaths under investigation. The Sunday Times in the UK reports that doctors in Iran estimate the death toll to be much higher, roughly 16,500. The report says that an additional 330,000 people have been injured. The mounting death toll has sparked more international backlash against the Iranian regime, some of the latest coming from the World Economic Forum. On Monday, the forum abruptly canceled a scheduled appearance by Iran's foreign minister, citing the, quote, tragic loss of lives in Iran in recent days.
California's billionaires are moving out of the state ahead of a proposed wealth tax. Daily Wire senior editor Joel Needler has more on the exodus.
The ballot measure, which would tax unrealized gains, has inspired an online campaign led by tech moguls David Sachs and David Friedberg, who are warning of a golden exit of billionaires from the state. The billionaires claim the wealth tax would drain California of $2 to $2.5 trillion in assets and $20 billion in annual revenue. The measure is also creating rifts among Democratic lawmakers, with Governor Gavin Newsom opposing it and more progressive members of the California State Assembly expressing support. Tech leaders argue the proposed tax erodes private property rights, which they say will eventually trickle down to the millionaire and middle class and cause fiscal collapse. The tax could appear on the state's general election ballot this November.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem clashed with a reporter this weekend over the targets of ICE enforcement. Noem appeared on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan to discuss ICE policy. The conversation quickly devolved as the two disagreed over statistics.
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
It's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you guys keep changing your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think work. But that is the facts, and they need to be brought to justice. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how much you guys keep lying and don't tell the public the truth.
The exchange highlighted how the current information landscape has shaped the national immigration debate. As trust in media and institutions continues to erode, consensus on even basic facts has become nearly impossible. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton declared today that over 100 laws and policies with DEI frameworks are unconstitutional. Daily Wire political reporter Cameron Arcand reports.
As the Daily Wire first reported, Paxton announced today that these laws were being used illegally to discriminate in both the public and private sectors. He said in a statement, quote, "This action to dismantle DEI in Texas helps fulfill the vision articulated by Martin Luther King Jr. when he dreamed that his children would one day live in a nation that they were not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." The AG added, quote, "It's imperative that all private sector employers, schools, and state and local government entities, based on this legal opinion, immediately abolish any DEI, affirmative action, or unconstitutional discrimination programs under their authority. We must return to the basic principles of equal opportunity for all."
There have been multiple updates in the Tyler Robinson murder trial in Utah. Daily Wire reporter Megan Basham has more.
Robinson's defense team had unsuccessfully filed to have the Utah County Attorney's Office removed from the case, claiming conflict of interest. The daughter of a prosecutor in the office was on Utah Valley University campus at the time of the Charlie Kirk shooting, though she was not a witness to the event. The prosecution called this a stall technique, and the judge likewise did not seem convinced, but he is allowing witnesses to be questioned about the connection. The defense is also trying to keep cameras out of the courtroom, citing concerns about lip reading. A hearing to determine both matters is scheduled for February 3rd. And in related news, Robinson's transgender romantic partner, Lance Twiggs, has lost his FBI protection due to relocating out of state. He had been receiving protection due to credible threats on his life. Twiggs had corresponded via text with Robinson about Kirk's murder, but has not been charged in connection with it.
The CEO of Netflix says he will not shorten theatrical release times after the streaming giant acquires Warner Brothers. Daily Wire entertainment reporter Amanda Harding has more.
CEO Ted Sarandos shot down the rumors that his company would shorten the release times during a recent interview with the New York Times. He said, quote, "When this deal closes, we will own a theatrical distribution engine that is phenomenal and produces billions of dollars of theatrical revenue that we don't want to put at risk. We will run that business largely like it is today with 45-day windows." Saying he's committed to, quote, "winning box office," he explained, "The general economics of the theatrical business were more profitable than we had seen, and we had modeled for ourselves. It's a healthy, profitable business for them. The only reason Netflix wasn't in theaters," he said, "because our business was going so well."
Indiana's Heisman-winning quarterback Fernando Mendoza has an unusual supporter on the sidelines, his Catholic priest. Daily Wire reporter Lyndon Blake sat down with the priest to talk about the excitement ahead of kickoff tonight. Here she is with the details.
Father Hyde will be in Hard Rock Stadium tonight, just like he's been on the sidelines for every Indiana postseason game leading up to the championship against Miami. Fernando Mendoza doesn't miss a Sunday Mass, which is why the priest has gotten to know Indiana's superstar. Mendoza has shared his accomplishments with Father Hyde this season, including the Heisman Trophy. Father Hyde told me, though, he's most proud of how Fernando has been a witness this season.
He's a joyful person. Jesus says, I have said these things to you so that you might have my joy and your joy might be complete. It's a reminder to us that joy is something to be shared. My hope is that his witness is an inspiration to people to put your faith first, to give God a try, to get up and to go back to church if you've been away, and to just trust that the Lord will help move you forward.
And country music icon Dolly Parton turned 80 today. In celebration, the star released a fresh version of her 1977 single, Light of a Clear Blue Morning.
I can see the light of a clear blue morning.
Dolly's birthday version also features singers Lainey Wilson, Queen Latifah, Reba McEntire, and Miley Cyrus. Proceeds from the song and music video will support pediatric cancer research at Vanderbilt in Nashville. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee declared today Dolly Parton Day, saying, quote, "It is fitting that we honor her 80th birthday by celebrating her remarkable legacy and dedication to the volunteer state."
All right, those are your drive home updates. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it earlier today, we covered some major stories, including Tim Walz and Jacob Frey coming under federal scrutiny, President Trump threatening tariffs over Greenland, and the U.S. severing aid to Somalia. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.